Hello and welcome to what feels like a really, really dark MKM Stadium car park. Well, I guess it is because they've just turned the lights off. So we've come into our respective cars to chew the fat over what ended up being a thrilling final few minutes at the MKM Stadium. Hull City were 2-0 down to Fiorentina, and Fiorentina, the European elite that we know they are, European finals over the last couple of years, they looked a really good side, and for me, were good value for being 2-0 ahead. And then City staged a stirring comeback. Abdou scored, and then Ryan Longman stepped off the bench to make it 2-2, and that's how it finished. Fletch, what did you make of it?
Well, first 45 minutes, can apart from the goal, can we actually remember anything that happened?
Should we not talk about the first 45 minutes? Because it was.
Should we talk about the second?
No,
I'm keeping an eye out because some of the staff are making their way out. I just know full well they're going to be banterous and come and bang on our car windows and wonder what it is we're doing. But yeah, the second half, when Fiorentina went 2-0 up again, I was feeling a bit anxious. But then what I liked about the team, if I just turn my lights back on, well, I can't, so we'll be like this. What I liked about it was as soon as they got that scent of a goal, it kept them marauding forward. So for me, they just need to, step on that pedal just a bit quicker. They don't need to be so tepid and, wait for the openings. They should, when they play in a really sort of risky style, it works because Fiorentina thought they'd got the job done, and it turned out putting 6 players towards the penalty area and playing wide works.
Yeah, I mean it's difficult to know. I thought the first half was awful. I thought they were really poor defensively, and I raised this on Saturday after the Newcastle game. I thought down the left side with Jacob and Giles, they look a quivering wreck, and every time a team attacks down that side, it looks like they're going to concede. And that was that. It's difficult to know in pre-season what to take from certain games, isn't it? Because I put this to Tim Walter when we spoke to him a short time ago, was that if you look at, forget the Doncaster game, but if you look at the last 3 games they've played Fenerbahce, have won their Champions League game tonight, and they're now through to the 3rd Champions League qualifying round. They've played Newcastle, who were in the Champions League last season, and obviously will be expecting to be in the Champions League next season. And you've played Fiorentina, who are a top Serie A side, and have been in the Conference League final for the last 2 seasons. So you're playing 3 teams that, with the greatest respect in the world to Hull City, are far better. They've got better players, they're a better team, and play at a much higher level consistently. So it's difficult to be critical in these sorts of games. But I did think they were well off it in the first half. They were sloppy. They looked iffy defensively. They had nothing going forward. He brings on Ryan Longman at half time for Mika Seri, and obviously it changed second half. So, and they got themselves back in the game. So everybody goes home feeling a little bit better about themselves. But they're a work in progress, and I think they're going to be a work in progress for quite a while to come, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I would totally agree with that. I think, again, it shows that there's 11 players there that they could assemble and send out on Saturday, the 10th of August. But then again, there's no depth, which is still a concern. There's been some, murmurings and rumours batted about tonight, which will probably go on and on for a little bit. But it's nice to hear that some things sound like they're getting done as well away from the game tonight, which I think will just calm some waters amongst supporters, Baz.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you watch the first half, I think we all watched that first half thinking, that's not great. Admittedly, you're playing against a top European side, but that still wasn't great. You come away after the game having fought back and played much better in the second half, with much more intent, much more attacking prowess, if you like. And you come away with having fought from 2-0 down and got something out of it, and you go, well, I can see there's promise. And I think it's funny how football can fluctuate in that respect, but you can't get away from the fact that the squad is miles off, and we keep saying it. You looked at the bench tonight, and there was very little apart from Ryan Longman up on there, apart from young kids. Louis Coyle's got a bit of an injury. Hopefully he's back for the start of the season, but there's not much else. Now, we know. We'll get into transfers because that's what everybody wants to know about. We know that Brandon Thomas-Asante is almost there, almost done and dusted. He was at the ground tonight, so that's a 3-year deal with an option of a fourth. He's a striker from West Brom, 11 goals in the Championship last season, primarily playing off the right in a team in Carlos Corberán's, not the most attacking of lineup. So it's going to be interesting to see how he goes. So we expect that confirmed in the next 24 hours. The German midfielder Marvin Mehlem was also here tonight, and that he's another one that we expect confirmed before the weekend. So Tim Walter was typically straight back, wouldn't talk about either player.
It was a bit silly, wasn't it? Almost. I know that's a harsh word to say, but it would have not. It wouldn't. Like he wouldn't have lost anything by just saying about what he thinks this player is, unless he is so cautious that he doesn't want to give away how he wants him to play in the style in case somebody's listening. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, I think he's a manager that until the player's holding up the shirt and it's 100% done, that he's, as in like the club have physically announced it, which they haven't. I think he's concerned, and we joked about Trotter, the press officer. He's had a difficult job over the last couple of years, and he's now got a manager that says very little. Liam was quite bullish about signings at times last season, and would very often say certain things. Whereas Tim Walter is music to a club's ears, isn't he? Because he just straight bats everything. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't comment on players. The most we've got out of him is, yes, he's a good player. And that's it. That is exactly what a club, or any club, Hull City or any other club, would want their manager to say, and not get drawn in. I'm loath to say speculation because I know it's not speculation. I know it's fact. So, as in, it's these players, are close. So, Scott McKenna is another one that they've been looking at all summer. He's on a free transfer, but obviously you've got to bear in mind that Forest would have paid him a lot to get him down from Aberdeen, and then he would have got on to a Premier League salary when he was at Forest. He also played for Copenhagen in the Champions League at the back end of last season. So that is, although he's a free transfer in the sense he's not going to command a fee, his wages are significant. So, but he is a target, as in Charlie Hughes, Zambrano. It sounds like he's flying over from South America to finalise his move. So, we could feasibly be in a situation by the time we welcome Bristol City here on Saturday week, that you could have Thomas-Asante, Mehlem, Zambrano, and a McKenna or Hughes from Wigan. So there could be 4 or 5 in, which is what we've been calling for. So, I do feel like the situation is starting to, it's not suddenly just improved overnight. Obviously, a lot of this work has been going on for a period of time, but it is now starting to come to fruition. It's not like suddenly they woke up after Newcastle and started hammering the phones. These deals have been in the pipeline for a while. They've been kept on the down low. If you remember on the podcast on Monday, we referenced a midfielder from South America, or Zambrano is that midfielder. So these things have been happening for quite a while. It's just now things are starting to come out into the open, and obviously agents and people associated with players are starting to do a bit more talking than they perhaps were before. So things are definitely starting to happen, and I think they need to, because we saw in that first half, we see when we look at the bench that they are so far away from where they need to be, and only players coming in are going to help that.
Yeah, the 2 players immediately stick out to me as the most exciting if they get done. I mean, one of them, as you've alluded to, but sounds like it's very much done and dusted, is Thomas-Asante, by the sounds of things, from what people are saying online. That's a great inclusion, because that's the position on Monday that I said was most key, but he can play wide as well, but someone like Scott McKenna coming in is a statement of intent for me. That's a big signing. And I hear you when you talk about wages, but you have to remember, if it's a free transfer in this case, how much can you, I suppose, balance the wages? Because I'm just trying to do some quick maths in my head. if you give him, let's just pick a ballpark figure out, absolute random. If you say 25,000 a week before tax, that's 1.2 million. If you stretch that out over 3 years, lights have gone again. Open the car door. That's close to 4 million quid, which is what they're suggested to be paying for Charlie Hughes, if not more. So, given that Scott McKenna has been there and done it at a high level, I would sway towards him over Hughes personally, but Hughes has a lot of potential. But then Asante is a good box tick, because that the South American player, I'll hold my hands up, I don't really know anything about him. I wish I could say more about him, but to go to Ecuador and get this player in, there must have been some serious scouting and homework done on this player to get them to come, I guess, near enough halfway around the world to come and sign for Hull City. So it's nice to know that the cogs are turning. These players will need time to settle. You can't expect a South American midfielder to come into the Championship and, I guess, hit the ground running, because it's all the things outside of a football which is going to be difficult for him. You know, you're settling in a country that you've never been in. These are all different things. You have to think of like things from our own human perspective. Would we do it? So that's going to make it more challenging for him. So yeah, as I summarised before I tail off into a tangent, I'm very happy.
I think I'm conscious that there'll be a lot of City fans that are watching and listening to this at the 1904 club, thinking, yeah, but the last time we got a promotion winner from Forest, he turned out to be an absolute duffer in Tobias Figueiredo. But I think
we can't tarnish everyone with the same brush, though, can we?
Look, and in fairness, Figueiredo, I maintain that Figueiredo was a big player at Forest. It just, the move to City didn't work out, and I'm not going to go into that because we haven't got time. But McKenna is 27 years old. He's played 25 times in the Premier League. He's got 50 odd caps for Scotland. Obviously played at the Euros. He's left-sided. McKenna is what they need. McKenna is a dominant. He's left-sided, as I say, but he's dominant in the air. He's physical. He's a threat in the opposition box as well. And one thing I've noticed in all the game, I mean, I've seen every game in pre-season so far, and I've obviously seen them an awful lot in training. And one thing they are at the minute is a bit soft on crosses into the penalty area. They don't stop the crosses enough, particularly on the left side. And I think that's going to be a recurring theme going forward. The left side's a problem, but there's indecision between Alfie Jones, Sean McLaughlin, and the goalkeeper Pandor when crosses come in, and McKenna would completely take away all that, any worry of that. He's a commanding presence. He's powerful. He's strong, and he gets his head to the ball, and he kicks it. And he is a traditional centre half. He heads it and kicks it, and he can also play. You know, he came into a Forest side under Steve Cooper that wanted to get the ball forward quickly. So he the system that he can bring the ball out of defence, and that's something that under Walter he wants his centre halves to do. I'm not entirely convinced that Sean McLaughlin's that comfortable doing that, particularly given how far forward he's been coming. So for me, McKenna is, if he's available, which we know he is, I think he's an absolute no-brainer. It's just whether the finances, as you touched on, it's whether the finances work. And I know from speaking to people involved, the finances are sizable, and that may well dictate whether or not they can do it. And they can't just go, well, he's a free transfer, so we'll take on 30 grand, 35 grand a week or whatever it may be. So that is something to watch. I do think, as you say, Fletch, if they could get McKenna done, it's a statement of intent. But I don't think that there'll be fans asking it, is it McKenna or Hughes? Is it one or the other? I don't believe it is. I think that if they could get both of them, they would, because there's a chance that
I suppose that could free up, like you. Sorry for interrupting you, Baz. That could free up McLaughlin going to whether it's Blackburn or another club, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, McLaughlin is linked. Well, I say he's linked. We know McLaughlin, there's interest in him. We know there's been a bid in for him because Tan told us that in an interview. So that's on record. We know there's interest. My worry is that at the minute, if McLaughlin or Jones gets injured, you're relying on Andy Smith and Stan Ashby, not to discredit or anything them, because they're talented boys. They don't have championship experience. So that's a big ask for one of them to come into a team in the championship and play week in, week out alongside Alfie Jones. So, and if Jones gets injured or suspended, you've got a problem. So that's obviously a key area that they need to strengthen. But as I say, I think if you can do, the lights are completely going out, aren't they? If you can get McKenna done, I think absolute no brainer.
Should we do a combined door open so we get our lights back on? Baz? 3, 2, 1, ready? There we go.
You don't get this on the BBC, do you? So yeah, I mean, look, there's plenty happening, and we've got 10 days to go until the season starts. 5 weeks until, is it 5 weeks, 4 weeks or so till the window closes? I think that's what we keep forgetting is, we're clamoring, and we're all clamoring for signings before the season starts. But we talked about this on Monday, that if you look at the makeup of last season's signings, I think Aaron Connolly arrived on August the 2nd, and he was the 4th player. By the time Aaron Connolly arrived on August the 2nd, you'd had Liam Delap, Jason Lakilo, Ruben Vinagre, and then Connolly. Then you had, I think, the 17th there was a gap from Connolly on the 2nd of August, I think, to the 17th when Scott Twine arrived. And then you obviously had the flurry at the end with Allsop and Jaden and Tyler Morton. So if you could get to the start of the first game when you've got 4/5 in, you're in a decent position. The caveat being, of course, and I know people will be shouting at their whatever's this. Yeah, but the squad is weak, and it is. The difference last year is you'd got squad players. You'd got Longman, obviously, was there. You'd got Doherty. You'd got Traore. You'd got Cyrus Christie. You'd got Matt Ingram. You'd got a lot more players to pad out the squad. Whereas now it's so paper thin that you have only got basically a starting 11. The rest of it is academy boys. So, they are, they're not too far away in terms of quantity of arrivals from where they were this time 12 months ago. But there is that feeling that everything was a bit more settled last year because obviously you got Liam was in charge. You'd got a bigger squad. You'd got players coming in to supplement that bigger squad. Whereas now you're starting from a much lower base. So, but let's wait and see, as we keep saying, let's wait and see. But we know that Thomas-Asante, and it's been. I was told earlier on today that the fee is less than £2 million. I know a lot of.
That's a great piece of business.
Yeah, I know there seems to be a lot of noise around the fee, and West Brom. West Brom are briefing what they're briefing, and I guess they would say, well, Hull City are briefing what they're briefing. So, and the truth probably lies somewhere in the middle. But my information, and I can only go on what I'm being told, is that the fee is less than £2 million. Even if it was £2 million, I'd say I still think that's in this current market for a player from a rival, an attacking player that's got double figures in goals, has got a lot of growing to it. I still think it's decent business.
Before the game tonight, Baz, we were discussing it on the way up to our positions in the press area, and I said to you that I would have rated him at something in the region of, in between, say, about 5 million, 6 million pounds.
Really, very interesting.
So I think just because of the inflation of the market in the Championship. Yeah. So,
and also, like it or not, and I've said this before, City don't have gallons of money they don't have bags of money to spend, despite what people think because they've sold Jacob and Jaden. But fees are when City knock on the door, fees are naturally going to be inflated because other clubs are going to go, well, hang on a minute, you've just basically brought in 40 million quid pretty much, bar a few pence for your two players, so you must have some money. The reality of the piece is it doesn't work like that. Of course it doesn't. They don't have. We've already done that to death, but they haven't got this big magic pot of cash. But there's no doubt about it that City, there may be a City tax this summer because teams think that they've got a bit more money. But if they, Thomas-Asante, 25, 26, yes, he's only got a year left on his contract, but he's proven last year in a team that isn't the most attacking under Corberan that he can score 11 goals. Now, if you put him in a team that plays maybe a more attack-minded brand of football, maybe when he plays through the middle at times, maybe he can score 15 goals or 16 goals. I think he's got his profile I like, and I've said this before when we talked about Charlie Hughes. I like the profile that they're going for. Zambrano again. He's 20, really young boy. He's got he's young. He's coming in. He's going to have room to grow, and he's going to have a sell on. And that's what we saw with Jaden. You buy a young player for relatively low fee, and then you sell him on, even if it's a year down the line, you sell him on for and you've made a healthy profit. So, like Jacob, you know, he was an academy graduate. You've sold him on, and that's pure profit. City need to be a club to be a sustainable club in this day and age. You've got to do what it's almost like the Brighton model, you know. And Zambrano has been likened to Moses Caicedo. They came through the same academy in Ecuador. You know, so that's what they need to do is bring in young players for whatever, you know, relatively low fees, and then improve them, and then sell them if they have to. Ideally, you want players like Charlie Hughes, Zambrano, Thomas-Asante to get you to the Premier League, and then you put yourself in a strong position. But if that isn't the case, like we saw last season, at least with Jayden, you know, you have him for 8 months and you sell him on a decent profit 8 months later, and then you reinvest that X amount of £1 million in your squad to then go and do the same again with 2 or 3 players instead of just one. So that's the model they need to work to. Not bringing in players like Doak and Cynic on £4 or £5 million that never play and offer you absolutely nothing and just drain you. You know, I don't mean this. I'm not being disrespectful to Doak and Cynic because he's obviously had a lot of injury problems and that's not nice for anybody. But he has been a financial noose around the club's neck because he's played a handful of games. He cost a relative fortune from Antalyaspor, and his salary would have been not insignificant. So he's been a drain on the club's finances, and they've had absolutely nothing from him. Zero response. You know, zero out of it. So they've got to get away from doing that. They've got to get away from signing players like that when they get no reward. Signing players like Jayden, you get a good season out of him. You flog him for, you know, double, triple what you pay for him. So,
well, there we go. As Benzie would say.
Yeah,
should we leave it there?
We'll leave it there. Before we go, for those that don't know, today was Fletch's last commentary for Hull City. He's been working for the club for God knows how many years doing the commentary. If you listened to any of the League One title winning season, his dulcet tones would have been on the commentary. If you went to any of the Player of the Year award dinners over the last few years, the montage of goals of the season, it was his commentary. And so tonight was his final game before he moves to beautiful Scarborough.
Barbados, yes.
To cover Scarbados or Scarborough, as we like to call it. So
Scarborough.
You know why I call it Scarborough? Because I once went with one of my best mates. We went to there's a Chinese there, and me and my mate were having a couple of days in, you know, one of my best uni mates, and we were having a couple of days in Scarborough as we do every year. And we went to a Chinese just off the high street, or the main drag in Scarborough. And the Chinese was fairly quiet, but there was a table down the middle, like a banqueting table of about 20 girls or 20 young women. And there was an American girl, and she was having a hen party, and she referred to it as Scar. I'm sorry, you had to be there, but she always referred to it as Scarborough, and we always wondered, like, how on earth did a girl from North America decide to want a hen party in Scarborough or in Scarborough, lovingly referred to it as. So, yeah, so Fletch is off to beautiful Scarborough. You had to tell us about your presentation tonight, mate.
Oh no! Well, they've shocked me big time because I haven't had to do like post-match during pre-season. So normally it's pack up and, you know, grab a bit of scran in the press room, have a natter, and go home. But Trotter texted me tonight to say, just make sure you're about in the tunnel. And he all of a sudden Louis Coyle appears, and it's like, all right, Louis, how are you doing? He said, right, come with me. And then all of a sudden, everyone that I've known from the last couple of seasons who still works for the club was there. Lots of hugs and a signed shirt with loads of messages on, which is gonna get topped up for me and posted to me and whatnot. And yeah, I always struggle when it comes to things like this. I always want to try and say something better, but emotions get the better here. But thanks to everyone in the media team for making my life so enjoyable, home and away. Gareth Griffiths and Luke Cash will get a mention. Matt Carrington as well. They were part of the team right at the very beginning who did the pooling for the position. They were the ones who let me go to Winterton Rangers when Jay Simpson scored a hat-trick in a 5-0 win. And it's been there ever since. Apart from some having to miss a bit of the Premier League with uni, on and off, nearly 500 games, and for the club that I've supported since I was 6 years old when my dad took me to Boothry Park. It's been, it is a job, but I call it a hobby because it's too fun to be a job.
Yeah, absolutely.
We get paid to go and watch football matches, which is just incredible. And yeah, in summary, I getting pictures taken with everyone, and I've put it on social media already. But it's not about me; it's about everyone that's made my commentary for the football club so enjoyable, and I can't thank everyone enough. There's too many people to name, but if you're listening, everyone knows who they are. So thank you very much, guys, and thank you to Louis as well for his part in the presentation, and of course, thank you to all the supporters, because we live in a toxic world, social media, and people get battered left, right, and centre. I've managed to avoid most of it, but it's nice to know that when I've put something out, nice acknowledgements come back, and that's just I can sit back and think, you know what, I've done a respectful job that people are happy, and yeah, the BBC is the next port of call. And I might be at Radcliffe in a week and a half's time, sitting there and thinking, oh my word, what have I done? But no, I'm looking forward to it. I'm really looking forward to it. So thank you to everyone involved.
And look how your career's come to an end at Hull City, sat in a car park at midnight on a Tuesday night, talking to me.
Opening and shutting our car doors.
Everybody thinks that working in football and football media is glamorous. We're sat, as I say, it's coming up 10 to midnight now in our cars, doing this because we love it so much, don't we? And that's,
we do.
It would have been, we could have walked out the ground and gone home and or started the journey home and off we go. But we decided that we wanted to do this, and because we love, we love talking about football. We love, we love Hull City. We love talking about Hull City, and we want the club to do well. And all I can say, Fletch, is it's been for the last 4 or 5 years I've been involved in the football club. It's been an absolute pleasure to have shared a press room. We've had many laughs, many laughs over the last 4 or 5 years, and
there's time for many more on the 1904 club, Baz. Well, I'll still be around. I'll still be around.
Yeah, the press rooms, pre-match press rooms won't quite be the same without you and the laughs that we have. But as I say, you'll be sticking around for the 1904 club, and best of luck with Scarborough, because it's a beautiful, beautiful place. Scarborough is a place that means an awful lot to me, and has done since I was a little boy, and even now. I was there, spent a week there last week and loved every minute of it. And it's just a shame I can't get to the under 21s game on Wednesday night, because that would have been fantastic. But unfortunately,
neither can I, because I'm reading the news at 5 o'clock in the morning. But speaking of the BBC, I know I thanked everyone, but I want to give a mention to those in the BBC, particularly who are in Humberside Sport, because I've obviously come across them through working through this volunteering and then job with Hull City, and they've given me the tools to get the taste to want to become a sports journalist. Like you, but you're a written sports journalist. I want to commentate as to earn my crust. So we'll go from there. But thank you to everyone, and I look forward to making new friends at Scarborough, but retaining all those friends from Hull City.
Brilliant. And apologies to everybody about the quality of the video and the
it's
darkness.
Just added that extra layer of daftness, hasn't it?
Yeah, we are ridiculous. This is ridiculous, and ultimately we do the 1904 club whenever we can, and sometimes it will look a bit amateurish, like it does right now, as we've got no light in the car.
How have we managed to get half an hour out of a pre-season friendly against Fiorentina?
I feel like we could have gone on for a bit longer, to be fair, but
we probably could as well.
We'll be bored. Those unfortunate ones that are going to be waking up and listen to this on their iPhones tomorrow morning and be like, "Oh, you two just shut up and go."
Yeah.
You're talking nonsense. But to be fair, it's now 10 to midnight and we are talking nonsense. We are babbling, and we are going to go. So everybody, thank you so much for listening. We'll be back next Monday unless we. Oh bloody hell! The lights have come back on again.
They have. I've shut the door.
Yeah.
This car, bless it, I love it, but it's got no. In this situation,
I'm talking about the car because people are bored. We'll be back after Reading. Fletch.
Adios.
What's your final message?
Oh, you've put me on the spot there.
Just say thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot.
Go off Partridge.
Go off Partridge. Keep talking about the pedestrianisation of Norwich City Centre, and stay in touch with the 1904 Club. We'll do what we can to keep everyone abreast of what's going on because of you, Baz. We're just leeching off you. And all the best for the new season when it kicks off after Reading.
And good luck with Scarborough. Thanks, everybody. We'll be back soon. And if you are going to Reading, you've got my absolute massive respect because that is one hell of a long way for a pre-season friendly. But if you're going down to Reading, we'll see you there. If not, obviously, you can follow the live coverage as always. And we'll be back again soon. So thanks.